Hi, everyone. I'm a relationship counselor and clinical sexologist. You can find me at eroscoaching.com. That's eroscoaching.com. That's my practice of 13 years. So I'm doing a reaction video to this news. 4 men plead guilty to conspiring to rape drugged wives after exchanging wife sharing fantasies. It's a pretty long article, but essentially what they do is they drug their wives and then they let other men rape their wives on different occasions. So one woman was raped multiple times, at least over 7 years, by different men while she was unconscious. She was blindfolded and drugged by her own husband. And many of them are married with kids. There is one man, Jay, who is the main accomplice. He came up with this idea and brought this up to his wife, tried to show his wife pornographic videos to check if she's willing to engage in the threesome. Wife scolded him and told him he was crazy and she was against this idea. So he knew she was against this idea. So he came out with this plan to sedate the wife or other men to have sex with. They met with other people and they started to do this. They filmed it. They took photos. They shared it. They were in chat groups and that's how the wife found out. That's how the wife found out. And disturbing chats like Kay telling Jay that Kay's wife is always yours and it would be nice if Jay managed to knock her up. Talk about getting their wives raped and impregnated by other men. Jay saying women like our wives, no matter how smart they think themselves are, will eventually get outsmarted by her men. So this whole male superiority and this, I'm smarter than her kind of a thing, meaning I better, you not as good. Referred to their wife in crude language and bet both wives still thought that they are chaste and loyal. They are loyal. They were drugged. They didn't know. This is very, very upsetting. So I have to stop myself from screaming, actually. So it just goes on and on about the different cases. And in one case, one wife actually woke up and realized someone other than her husband was attempting sex with her. So a person who's passed out is not capable of giving consent, regardless of whether this is your wife. A person who's drunk, a person who's passed out, a person who's drugged is not capable of giving consent. And so it is rape. Consent can also be withdrawn at any time. A person can change their mind. A lot of times people just don't speak out and just go through with it, but they might be in pain, in discomfort. And so they are not really capable, they are not really consenting at that point, even though they may not say so. So this case is unprecedented, abominable. They've been sentenced to different sentences of rape and caning and jail. Ultimate gross betrayal of trust by husbands conspiring with other men against their partners. When a woman enters into marriage, she entrusts herself to her husband. Okay, it's not just I give you all my power. It's a mutual power. Hello. She trusts that the man that sleeps beside her will not harm her every night in sickness, and also the father of her children will not poison her with drugs and lie and say it's medicine. Keep private their most intimate sexual moments. A lot of times, these kinds of will keep private is implied as opposed to explicit. But even then, if a person says no to threesome, obviously will not say yes to having sex with another man. That's and so they don't care. They don't care. They are just selfish, and they just want their way. And so what has been done is, yes, they send them for counseling. Admits he has a serious problem, but it's not remorseful, but ashamed of it. It's not sorry for it because it was fun while it lasted, and the fun outweighed the consequences, and accepts he cannot go unpunished. So these kind of people they are so entitled, and this entitlement is not just a matter of like over one day or the 7 years that it happened. What about the life of this person and the kind of male privilege they have been showered and been told that they are the superior race or gender, and that's why they are better than their partner and so on. So let's see what Aware wrote on Instagram, this case on voice sharing. Saying misogynistic urge, meaning hate women. So this whole like being in a long-term relationship, and the relationship of course has ups and downs, and a lot of people that I know of, they harbor a lot of resentment. They don't speak up, and in some ways drugging their wives and getting them raped by other people is a form of revenge to get the upper hand. Okay, so this whole thing about power and control, remembering that in our Asian culture, women are taught and told to be submissive to men. And so there's not this kind of a mutuality going on. And that's not only like, you know, being imposed to you, but you are actually being expected to defer to your partner. And so it may perpetuate that whole, I am better, I have control over you, you are mine, and treating their wives as property, congratulating each other, fantasies about impregnating the woman without consent. So I have more to share. So this fantasy of ignorance, helplessness, and indignity, and guess what? To some degree, it probably is playing out in the relationship, okay? Even the most dominant, fierce wife, okay, they still want to subconsciously think that, yeah, what does she know? And so it's not that I am afraid of her, it's just that I don't want to fight back. And so yes, revenge element that I mentioned just now, superior. So yeah, call for dismantling toxic masculinity, which is always there. It doesn't have to be this way. So how can we ensure that things like that don't happen? We have to talk about it as a society. We have to address this toxic masculinity, this entitlement of men, this male privilege. And it's not about bashing men and saying we hate men. It's like, how can we heal as a society and a community that we really start to see one another as worthy of respect as humans. So we need a stronger moderation and regulation to check the alarming proliferation of misogyny in digital spaces. I think a lot of times it's not about like telling people off and like controlling them and telling you are wrong and all these things. It's really about engaging them, I feel, in dialogue, and to really for them to get it. And anyway, I can't really talk about my clients. So yes, okay. So yes, even Aware also felt this entrusting herself is kind of sexist. Yeah. And it needs to be about mutual trust and accountability. You are in the relationship together. So let's talk about, I can't turn this video off on the side. Okay. So let's talk about cuckolding. So this is when your wife is cheating on you, but the thing is actually consensual, used by a man unaware, but nowadays it is used as a turn on. And the reason why this is a turn on, watching their partner have sex with another people, you can call it voyeurism. They call these people boo. The reality is that it is a common fantasy, okay, to be dehumanized or to be humiliated, because guess what? In humiliation, you actually feel more. That is the allure or the forbidden. So pushing the limits and doing things that are out of bounds, you shouldn't be doing it. It's even illegal. there are negative repercussions to your career, your reputation, as what is happening in this case. It causes fear and adrenaline, which aware does not even know about or acknowledge. This thrill that they are chasing, and then this claim that they know that they are doing this wrong. I feel that they know. It's just that it's almost like they cannot stop themselves, because guess what? They're selfish. Their thrill is their desire to feel alive is so powerful that it overrides everything else, including power over someone and humiliating their partner, but also being humiliated. The fact that they have no control over, I said I'll do this, and now things are being done to my wife, and I cannot do the traditional role of protecting my partner. Even this whole small dick syndrome, like, I cannot last as long as this person, my dick is not as big as this person, and being able to be being called names, called pathetic and things like that, feeling that they are not as capable of satisfying their partner. But bearing in mind, this person is knocked out, so this is not really about satisfying their partner, but really satisfying themselves. Okay, their need for excitement, for thrill, for power over, for control over, for revenge over their partner. So this is not really this word in a true definition, but I wanted to bring this article up to let you have some idea of what is going on in these people's minds, okay? And when it comes to being in an open relationship, swinging, there's this term called compersion. This is when there's consensual. Remember, it's not rape. It's consensual non-monogamy, meaning you are happy that your partner is happy. But in this case, someone who is knocked out, drugged, is not happy. Okay, I am not sure why this thing come out earlier, and get their own private show and things like that. It's hot watching two people have sex. It's like a live show. There's this sense of detachment. Maybe at first there's this sense of like horror or shock. What am I doing? But you justify your actions to yourself, and after a while they become numb to it. They become numb because they come out with excuses, and after a while they don't feel things anymore. So this is a interesting, I guess, illuminating article, even though there are many articles like this online. This is just one that I just happened to come across. So it's really important to understand this is not consensual, this is rape. And these are some things to ask yourself if you do want to engage in this kind of behavior. Whether what are kind of boundaries, whether the third person should be known or not known, what will be your safer sex practices, will there be condom? I don't know in this case what was going on, who will contact, who will play out, how will you watch, or things like that. What are the do's and don'ts in terms of, okay, I agree, but like what are the things that you don't want happen, having safe words, things like that. So all in all, yes, it's very disturbing. I think what is happening is it's easy to say this, but it's more than that, which is you think that, oh, these are Asians don't do these things. Asians are being influenced by Western culture. But let me assure you, in our Asian culture, we are actually have a very long history of polyamorous relationships where you have one man and wife and mistresses. Not so long ago, it is very common to be in multiple relationships, and this whole wife sharing thing, without interviewing these people involved in self, I would not know what is going on in their head, but I can suspect, like I mentioned already, revenge, entitlement, selfish, just want to get the thrill, the forbidden, and just not thinking through, not really empathizing or really understanding that this is not my property. This is someone that I live with, and we are building a life together. And so I often get asked this question, like, how can I make my wife do this? How can I make my husband do this? You can't make anyone do anything that they don't want to do. And so they are so selfish that they want to have their fantasies fulfilled, that they are willing to do this at all costs, to the detriment of other people's. So this definite superiority, like I'm better than, what do you know? What do you know what's good for you? And so maybe in their real life relationship, is one kind of a facade, but the shadow side, the ugly side was coming out during sex. So it is very disturbing, and I really, really feel that we need to be teaching consent. We need to be talking about boundaries. We need to be talking about respect and mutuality of all genders. And now with 377A being repealed, we are talking about same-sex relationships and marriages that I think a lot of Asians just are sheltered and they're not exposed to this. And so this whole, I also made another video where I talked about why is it that heterosexual people or young people nowadays, I don't know whether they're all heterosexual, but young people feeling that they have a say over someone's life, like they shouldn't get married. Like, who the hell are you to say that other people, what they can and cannot do in their lives? They are sober, they are of age, they are consenting. In this case, it's very upsetting because they are non-consenting. So, and of course, the sense of violation that they feel, having things done to them physically, being penetrated. And I don't know whether there was safer sex. I don't know whether there was semen inside them the next day, and whether there was soreness in their genitals. I don't know all these more gory and explicit details, but it is very upsetting as somebody with a vagina to have this happening to other people, and what they must feel, and the kids that are in these families, and the violence that is happening in their families, because you can say, oh, they are passed out. What do they know? It is physical violence, and it's emotional, it's mental, and I don't know what happens. And I really hope that there will be counseling for everybody involved, including the kids. This is very, very upsetting, and I know I'm rambling. Why is this happening more in Singapore? Because very simple, the lack of sexuality education. And even then, we are not having comprehensive sexuality education. We are not having honest, authentic, positive communication around sex and sexuality. And that's what I have been trying to do for the last 13 years. I run my workshops. I work with private clients. But there's only so much I can do as a person. And it is really important that anybody who's willing to listen to messages like this, who are disturbed, you be an ally of women, and you don't let this kind of things happen. Don't laugh about rape jokes. You don't think that you're more superior than women. You support women, you be their ally, you help them, you make them feel that the world is not a hostile place, that men think that they're better or bigger and stronger, and therefore they can take advantage of us and make fun of us and laugh at us, and you know, the fact that we are pregnant, or we have menstruation, or we have mood swings, and just make jokes about women in general. That is not being an authentic person who supports and loves women. Be an ally, because the world needs healing, and by getting more informed and educated and enlightened, and being an ally, you make a difference for those people who have been hurt by men. And we have been as women, even from a very young age, like being harassed when we don't want to be harassed, walking down the streets and being afraid. Am I wearing too much? Am I wearing too little? Am I like, what is it in me that deserve this stare or this whistle or being followed? Like, how scary it is to be born a woman, and to hate being born a woman repeatedly again and again. And to have this happen at home with someone that you trust, not entrust, but trust, that you have committed, you know, to raise a family, and you share your assets with. Like, this betrayal, this loss of trust is very difficult to regain. So yeah, I know I'm rambling, and I hope there are some points here in what I shared. I will do a little summary for those who are not watching it to the end. But thanks for watching this. Be an ally, get more educated and informed, speak up for people who are discriminated and disadvantaged. We need to do this because we are all interconnected, and this is not what we want the world to be. We don't want the world to be unsafe. So this has been Dr. Martha Tarali. Please leave your comments below, and do check out my other videos, support my work. I would really appreciate it very much.